TV, back with another video, looking at Mikel Arteta's press conference today, looking at the latest with transfers and general Arsenal chat. Few interesting comments from the Arsenal manager today. First of all, he was asked around the positions that Arsenal are looking at and what type of areas we're looking to strengthen. He said in particular that we're looking at defenders. He said since Callum Chambers was injured, that the club have been looking at defenders, and obviously Matvienko is the latest defender we're being linked with, the 23-year-old Ukrainian who plays for Shakhtar Donetsk now. Whether you saw my latest transfer video, it seems like this deal could happen. Newspaper reports in Ukraine saying that, you know, this deal, we've definitely approached Shakhtar Donetsk. We're apparently offering 4.5 million as a loan fee, with an option to buy him for 22 million in the summer. He's 23 years of age, played against Manchester City twice this year for Shakhtar, and apparently Mikel Arteta was eyeing him up as a potential signing when he was at Manchester City. Now obviously he's at Arsenal. Shakhtar Donetsk possibly willing to take a loan with an option to buy. So this is a deal that could potentially happen. As I said, I've been trying to watch footage of him, see what type of player he is. I don't particularly know a lot about him. I'm catching up through YouTube really as to how good he is in general. It looks like a deal that could happen. At 23, he's a good age. I'm sure he's got room to improve, and I think these are kind of signings that Arsenal will be looking for at this stage. And the other one, of course, Thomas Lemar. And we all know about that supposed £90 million offer that we made on a transfer deadline day a few years ago. He was possibly going to come in to replace Sanchez. And at the time, you know, fans were excited. I'm telling you, fans were excited about Thomas Lemar. 90 million. He's had about 18 months at Atletico, but does that mean he's finished as a player? You know, football nowadays, fans are very quick to write players off. You know, maybe the system doesn't suit him, maybe the league doesn't suit him. I'm not saying that's the case. Maybe he's not good enough, but at this stage, if we were to get Matvienko, I don't know a lot about, and if we were to get Thomas Lemar, if we got those two on loan with options to buy, I think that would be a positive window for Arsenal. You have to look at this transfer window. You know, Liverpool bought the lad from Leipzig. And then Manchester City have bought nobody. You know, you got Manchester United haven't bought anyone. Tottenham got the boy on loan from Portugal. Chelsea haven't bought anyone. It's a difficult window, very difficult window. Big up everyone live in the chat at the moment. Let's have a look. Bad Boy says, hi dude, what are you saying, bro? Bob Marley 420, what up, Curtis? Was just watching your last video, respect for that. Michael Thomas, Arsenal not buying no one this transfer window. Stan Kroenke says, you're the man. Gunnar Dredd said, yes, Curtis. Ahmed Ibrahim, Curtis, do you think the club will sign someone before the deadline? I actually do. I said yesterday, I think we'll get one. I think two at the most, but I think we'll definitely get one. Akeem Arawojobi, sorry, I hope I pronounced that wrong, says, hello, respect, how you doing? Lucky Doob says, our loan deals have not worked out so far. A lot of the time this January window, things seem to open up at the end of the window. I would expect a lot to happen over the next week. Michael Thomas, Stan Kroenke, fraud. Insurance season. Arteta will get the sack in December 2020. No disrespect. I think Arteta will be at the club for a while. SW6 Fan TV, Chelsea fan channel, says, thoughts on Lee Gunner's channel? Honestly, don't know a lot about his channel. And he also said, tips for growing on here. Content is key. Put out quality content. Know what you're talking about. Try and keep, you know, the sound good on your videos. People don't like it when the sound isn't good. And obviously over time, if you can, you know, if you've got the money, try and improve it slowly but surely, man. You'll get there. Abdi says, I never get a notification for this stream. Disappointed. Yeah, hit that bell button, man, for the notification as well, bro. Al says Curtis in. Oh man, yeah, I wouldn't mind being the manager. Arsenal 040 says reportedly Lamar has agreed to join Arsenal on loan. Thoughts? I think he would come to Arsenal on loan. It's the Euros this summer. All these players who are on the fringes of their national team, they need regular football, and that's why I think you will see a lot of loan deals happen over the next week or so before the window closes. And you know, I think Lamar would be a positive signing. I said earlier, the move hasn't worked out for him ideally at Atletico Madrid. I've seen him play a lot of times at number 10, and I think he could come in and play in the 10 role. And I think this deal could potentially happen. Lucky Doob said, if we can get one centre back and Lamar, that would be okay. Definitely. On loan with minimal funds, I think that would be definitely something positive. One thing that I've just noticed today is that Yannick Carrasco apparently is possibly going to Crystal Palace on loan now. I know Arsenal were chasing him. I remember last January it was the whole Carrasco Perisic. They were the two wingers that we were looking at, but the Chinese club weren't willing to let Carrasco go. It seems like he's desperate to leave now. Apparently he's training by himself in Belgium at the moment. Would you be interested in Carrasco now? I don't know. I'm just surprised that with him being a name that we was linked with before, it seems as if we're looking for a winger. Why are we not going for that? It says 3 million to take Carrasco on loan. Interesting. John B says, sell Aubameyang and Lacazette by Osman Dembele. I wouldn't want to sell them both. One of them for Dembele, maybe sell Lacazette and get Dembele. Kieran Salah says, do you want Ceballos to return early? I think we should keep him. We've paid the money. I still want to see how good he is. I think it'd be interesting to see how he does under Arteta, a different manager. Things are different. Taib Hussein says, do you rate Abdoulaye Toure from Nantes FC? I haven't seen a lot of him, to be fair. I honestly don't know, if I'm honest. More into what Arteta said in the press conference. He said, at the moment, I am 50-50 on potential new signings because this transfer window is very complicated and I only want to bring somebody in if I'm convinced he can improve the level we have. Well, I'm sorry, with the lack of depth in our squad at the moment, there's a lot of players who can improve our squad. We played Mustafi against Chelsea the other day. There are defenders out there better than him. We're playing Granit Xhaka at the moment in midfield, although he's having a decent run of form under Arteta. There are midfielders out there better than him who I believe we could get. Mesut Ozil's playing in the 10, 1 assist, no goals. There are number 10s out there who can come in and do better than him. Saka at left back, although he is doing very well, he is a left winger. He's filling in for us. So there are positions of weakness in our team. Arteta, when asked about Danny Ceballos, said, I've had a conversation with Danny. I heard about those things, talking about him potentially cutting his loan short to go back to Spain, being linked with a loan move to Valencia. He said, I have nothing to comment. He needs to get back to full fitness and fight for his place. So kind of laying down the gauntlet for Danny Ceballos. Maybe he's come back from injury, not fully fit. I thought Arteta would have a bit of a connection with Ceballos. Ball playing midfielder from Spain really hasn't worked for him. But now he's coming back. I hope he plays against Bournemouth on Monday, to be honest. John B said, Arteta clearly doesn't have the money now. January is a seller's market and you need to pay the top price to get the player. But I think you can get loans in, John. To be honest, I understand your point. No real major transfers happen in January. And if they do, you tend to pay over the mark. But I think Arsenal should be looking at loans if the money isn't there. Taib says, Curtis, do you think Arteta will drop Ozil for any games before the end of the season? Not many. I think with his wage, with the fact that they were friends as players, he clearly likes him. Arsenal 040 says, Curtis, if we make some good signings in the window, like Upamecano or Ake, Lamar or Ziyech, do you still think top 4 would be possible, or should we focus on the Europa League? I think top 4 will be very difficult. I don't see us making up the gap. I think we've blown our chance. Upamecano, I don't think will come in this window. I think with Leipzig being near the top of the Bundesliga, they're in the last 16 of the Champions League. I think Upamecano will possibly leave in the summer. Nathan Ake as well. Bournemouth are in a dogfight relegation battle. Again, I think he could be bought in the summer. Lamar, I think we could get now on loan if we pay the right money. Ziyech, I don't think would leave until the summer either. So very difficult. Lucky Doob says top four is gone unless we sign Messi. Well, yeah, you've got a point here. I just don't see us getting top four. Andrew Bland says, how much do you expect the Kroenkes to invest even if we don't make Champions League? And if we do make Champions League, if we don't make the Champions League, I would expect maybe 60, 70 million. I don't think it would be big money. If we do make the Champions League, maybe 100 million. But in the context of football now and how far we are off the top, I mean, a few years ago, I felt like Arsenal were maybe 2, 3 top players away from being able to win the Premier League. We're now probably 3 or 4 top players away from even getting back in the top 4. Never mind winning the league. We're probably 6 or 7 players away from winning the league. And, I don't see anything changing unless we get new owners. I've said it time and time again. I want to big up Turkish because Turkish tried to set something up in the summer to put pressure on the owners, and he wasn't really backed. I think we got caught in the hype because we were signing players. And look where we are now. We're in January and the club won't invest and we're desperate. It's crazy. It really is crazy. Arteta also said that Socrates will be back for the Bournemouth game. Of course, David Luiz is suspended after his red card. A lot of people were saying to me, in the comments that, David Luiz shouldn't have been sent off. If the team gets a penalty and it's not violent conduct and the player sort of goes for the ball, should only be a yellow card. I don't really know the rules anymore in football. They change it all the time. Personally, Yamin Rahman says, we need to start pushing more for Kroenke out like Turkish tried in the summer. All fans have to start now dedicating time and energy to try pressure these stingy owners out of our club. I've noticed over the past 6 months since doing YouTube and, putting out content, how much Arsenal fans go against each other and criticise each other and don't support each other enough. And, all that energy that they direct towards each other and arguing on social media. Just imagine if the fan base came together and said, you know what? We're a great club. We're a big club. I think Arteta could become a good manager. We've got some good players. Where would we be if we had really good owners, big owners who were willing to invest and back the manager? People say, yeah, we spent 100 million in the summer. 100 million's not enough. We're miles behind the other teams. Liverpool are over 30 points ahead of us. You can't fix that in 100 million, I'm afraid. That needs probably 200 million to get us back to where we need to be. You've seen the prices of players nowadays. You can spend 70 million, 80 million on one player. Regular says, I don't understand why our board are so reluctant to help bring this club back to competing for titles. The answer to that question, my friend, is Arsenal are a cash cow. If I said to you, you can go on a website and put £1 in, and every day you can make 50 quid. Every day, £50. You don't need to risk putting in big money to try and make more because you're earning money anyway. They don't need to spend anything to make money in Arsenal. We're a self-sustaining model. All they give the manager to spend is what the club earn through sponsorships, through selling players, and they're not going to invest in this football club, and they're just going to milk it. And they're building a new stadium in America that's costing over $5 billion. Some of that money is probably coming out of Arsenal. This is the reality. Arsenal 040 says, Curtis, would you rate Laka in the number 10 role? A lot of people have said this, and I've said I do not know why we haven't tried that. I think he could play behind Aubameyang in the 10 because he's certainly not playing like a number 9 striker at the moment. Abdurrahman Ahmed, Curtis, like you said, we need to boycott games and get Kroenke out like how Liverpool did. Exactly, my friend. And you look at the state of Arsenal at the moment. We're 10th, 11th. Are we in the league, mid-table? Southampton lost 9-0 to Leicester a few weeks ago or whenever, and they were above us in the league. I mean, how is that acceptable? We actually invested in players in the summer, and we've got worse. And although we did spend money, the money wasn't spent in the right way. And it's easy to say that in hindsight, but excuse me, um, we needed a centre back, but we bought David Luiz. They're players to just fill in for now. They're not players who are going to give you a long term future and security. Um, where you can build. Liverpool bought Van Dijk, they bought Alisson, they bought Salah, Mane. They knew with those players they can build for 4 or 5 years and hold on to these players and build the club. With David Luiz, I might get a good year out of him, and then he's going to go. Socrates, a year, he's going to go. Lichtsteiner, all these guys. Pete Thomas says, "Is this live now?" Yeah, Pete, it's live now, mate. Unless you're watching it afterwards, but I'm sure you're here now. Tayyip is saying, which club will Samara end up at, in your opinion? I've seen him linked quite heavily with Chelsea, with Real Madrid. I think clubs will leave him there till the end of the season. I'm not sure anyone is fully convinced yet to spend the money. He's only really his breakthrough season. Curtis Allen, so the Kroenkes don't pump any of their own wealth in the club. No, this is totally self-sustaining. They use their money to buy the club. They use the club as leverage to loan money to buy the football club off the owners who owned it as well, and they took the percentage. And what they do now is they only use what the club earns. Obviously, they've got the Rwanda partnership on the sleeve, they've got the Adidas deal, they've got the Emirates, and all the money they make on match days and all those things. That's the money that goes on players. They do not spend money out their own pocket, even though the club spent over 100 million in the summer. We only paid 20 million up front for Pepe, not the full 72 million. So that deal will be paid by sponsorships and things over the next 4 years. So they don't spend any money out of their own pocket, which is unbelievable. When they're saying Manchester City owners have spent nearly £1 billion out of their pocket on Manchester City, and look where they have taken Man City from, and look where they've put them. They are a huge football club now around the world. They've got one of the best managers. They've got an unbelievable training ground. I was at that training ground a couple of months ago, and their facilities are phenomenal at Manchester City. Honestly, they've overtaken a lot of football clubs in this country. All right, the fan base isn't as big as some clubs due to the lack of history, but this is where you can go. So imagine if you have got that size of a club and fan base to already build on. Hacks27 says, thoughts on Lamar and Matvienko links. I genuinely believe these are the two players that Arsenal are closest to getting. I'm not saying they will happen, but I think Matvienko, I think we've got a good chance of getting him. I don't know how good he is. And I think Lamar is a tricky one, but it seems Atletico are willing to let him go, but they want a certain amount of money. Yamin Rapman says, Curtis, please try in some of your next interviews to try shift some of the focus on Kroenke, because on AFTV there's simply not enough spoken about the Kroenkes on there, which is a shame. I agree, and I think I mentioned him in my last interview actually after the Sheffield United game. It was only brief, it's a 3-4 minute interview. It's difficult to get into it. Hacks27 says, updates on Matvienko, Lamar, Kalinoglu, Mertens, Raul Jimenez transfers. Raul Jimenez, I haven't heard anything about Arsenal being linked with him, so maybe you know more than me on that. Mertens, I heard, was signing a new contract at Napoli. Looks as if he'll stay. Kalinoglu, apparently they're willing to let him go, but they're trying to sell him on a permanent, which I don't see Arsenal spending money like that in this window. And as I said, Lamar, I think Atletico will let him go if you put enough money down on loan with an obligation or an option to buy. And Matvienko, I think that deal might happen. But honestly, don't know how good he is. Alex Hall says, hey Curtis, do you think financial fair play could be a factor due to such bad business in the past? We have spent big on bad players. Love the channel, bro. I appreciate that, Alex. Possibly, there's players like Mesut Ozil, 350 a week. You look at players like El Neni, Mkhitaryan. I'm pretty sure these players are not getting their full wages paid on loan. There's a lot of players, Mustafi, players we can't get rid of. um, who we're struggling to get rid of, and they're not good enough. Poor players on big wages. It doesn't add up. Hacks27 says, "How did you end up going to the World Cup qualifiers?" It was a long time ago, 2015. I'm actually going to do a video soon talking about my own personal journey in professional football and a few things. A lot of people have asked me about it, but we'll do that another day. But yeah, I was involved in a World Cup qualifier 5 years ago. Stan Kroenke said Arsenal are not pushing financial fair play, and that's what I would imagine because the club got rid of players. So how do Manchester City manipulate that? Them times Manchester United. Look how much money they've spent recently as well. And things like that. Hacks27 says, "Were you a Luton player?" I was down there for a little bit, but I'd never signed for them. Let's have a look. Don one. We should have sold Mkhitaryan for 8 million and saved on his 200k wages. Yeah, I agree. I think Arsenal probably feel he's worth 10 to 15 million. But 8 million for Mkhitaryan in this market, he's got to be worth a little bit more than that, to be honest. He really has to be worth, I would say, 12, 14 million. He's still got a good reputation. Apparently he's done all right in Italy. If they want him, 8 million, I think is a little bit cheap. And let's have a look what else. Arteta's press conference, he was also asked about Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. He obviously said that Aubameyang has already stated he wants to stay at the club. Barcelona trying to take him on loan. That's not going to happen. There's no chance. Let's have a look. Marco Souza says, "We paid around 6 times more for Mustafi than we did for Martinelli." That is how it goes sometimes. Arsenal Vlog says, "Yo, how are you? Big up Arsenal Vlogs, always supporting. Check out his channel as well." Yamin says, "Wow, you were called up to represent Dominica." Yeah, my friend. Yep, a few years ago. Jens Gazarin said, "Which realistic defensive midfielder would you take first?" I like Thomas Partey, but I just don't think Arsenal would pay the 45 million. I think he's a tank, and apparently he's very keen on playing in the Premier League. Somebody we may look at in the summer. Curtis Allen says, "Can't believe we swapped Alexis Sanchez for Mkhitaryan. Terrible business." Honestly, Alexis Sanchez was one of my favourite players to play for Arsenal. I thought he was an absolute superstar. Complete mismanagement in the fact that, you look at Coutinho went for 130 million. And, Sanchez, for me, the season before that was at a higher level than that. He was phenomenal that season at Arsenal. And we swapped him for Mkhitaryan, a guy that Man United were willing to sell for around 25 million. Shocking business. The people like Gazidis have got a lot to answer for, mate, honestly. Bob Marley 420 says, "Curtis, what position did you play?" You know what? I used to play in like the 10 role, the Meza Ozil role. But I actually did score goals in that role. Not no one assist, no goals. All right, Ozil, to be fair, I let you off. He played at a lot higher level than me. Play at striker now. Getting older, the legs. I want to be running back and defending up front now. But yeah, I was a number 10 really. It's a bit of a lazy position, if I'm honest, because you don't want to do the defending that the midfielders are doing, but you don't want the pressure that the strikers under of scoring goal. It's like a dream position. Arsenal Vlog says, "Can I have a shout out?" I already give you one, mate. No problem. Arsenal Vlogs. Everyone check out his channel. Alex Hall, Alexis, I was gutted. I have every shirt of him and I live in Australia. So £120 is like $200 for me. Wow. It's always risky investing in football shirts and putting a player's name on the back, man. I very rarely now put players' names on. I actually put old school players' names on shirts like Ian Wright and Henry and Burkhardt. John B, question, Curtis, if Aubameyang wanted to go to Barca and they wanted him, if they say Dembele is in the deal, are you taking that? In the summer, if Aubameyang wanted to go and they offered Dembele, I would take it. In January, no chance. We need him till the end of the season. And I actually think if we got in the Champions League, winning the Europa League, I think Aubameyang would stay. Let's have a look. Gulade Ahmed says, Curtis, do you think Arsenal's recruitment are heedless? They are trying to sign attackers when we are woeful at the back. Keep up the vids. We do need defenders, but let's be honest, and a lot of people don't think so. I do think we need attacking players. I think we're short in certain areas. You look at the left wing. Martinelli's playing out there at the moment. He's 18. He won't play every game. They will manage him. If he doesn't play, it's basically Aubameyang, who is a striker. So, and you look on the right, we've got Pepe. After Pepe, it's Nelson, who I don't think he's ready at the moment. So we're not overloaded with attacking players. Ozil plays in the 10. No one else really plays in the 10. I think it's still an option of bringing in attacking players. Simon Sunday says, greetings from Norway. What do you think of Erling Haaland? I think he scored again tonight for Dortmund. He's made an unbelievable start at Dortmund. It's interesting how his career flourishes, really. Hacks27 says, any updates on Kurzawa? Seems to have gone quiet. Looks as if he will stay until the end of the season. I think we'll get him on a free. Pete Thomas says, Curtis, I live in the northeast of England. I've never been to the Emirates. Got a tour there. What's it like? The tours were all right. A lot of history there, all the trophies and stuff. In terms of match day, at the moment, it's a bit flat. The better atmospheres, of course, will be for the bigger games. The Tottenham, Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool. They're the games where you're really going to get a good atmosphere. Bob Marley 420 said, the fact that you actually played professional football explains why you're so insightful and know what you're talking about. I appreciate that, mate. There are a lot of people who haven't played the game who know what they're talking about equally. But when you have played, professional, whether that be League Two up to the Premier League or the Conference, whatever, you do have a different perspective on the game. So, I just try and share that. Nimsy Lot said, I want the FA Cup. Yeah, I do as well. I'd take it. I just don't think it's as big a priority as the Europa League. Arsenal Forever said, what we need is 150 million to spend. And wow, yeah, and I don't expect the Cronkies to give us that. Stan Kroenke on here, I wish it was the real one because I'd love to have a chat with him, said, we need a left back and right back. Yeah, I agree. I think Bellerin needs competition. Unless Ainsley Maitland-Niles wants to be a full-time right back. And at left back, Tierney's struggling with injury. Kolasinac, I would move on. And Saka's a young player and obviously a winger. Hacks27 said Lamar, Carrasco or Fraser, maybe even Dembele. Out of the first three you've said, I would go for... that is interesting. I would go for Lamar for the versatility, or Carrasco. I'm not too sure about Ryan Fraser. Dembele, of course, if I could get him, he would be the one out of the four who you mentioned there. Alan D'Souza, will John Fleck come to Arsenal? I think that's paper talk. He had a good game against us, and next minute he's being linked with a move. Curtis, why didn't you play for Arsenal? Said Hacks 27. I wish it was that easy, mate. It is hard work. Trust me, in football, to get to the Premier League. I commend any footballer who makes it to the Premier League. Mr. Fish said, last year you lot were proud to be in the Europa League final. I'm assuming you're an Arsenal fan, a Chelsea fan, sorry. That final still bamboozles me. I don't understand the lack of fight and quality that we showed. I think we believed that because Chelsea had finished third in the Premier League, that Chelsea would turn up and not really be interested. I remember when we beat Chelsea in the FA Cup final, they were Premier League champions that season. And I don't think we got Chelsea at their best and we caught them out that day. And I think they probably expected the same thing and Chelsea were up for it. Hazard ripped us apart. Giroud scored. The rest is history. Let's have a look. John Fleck and George Baldock linked. Yeah, again, I think that's paper talk, man. I'm not sure. Alex Hall, Martinelli is a baller. We need to lock him down to a big contract. Give him what he wants. If history repeats itself, we will sell him way too early and watch him rip it up at Real or Barca. Well, the thing is, we only signed him in the summer, so he's got 3 or 4 years left on his deal. He's on 10 grand a week. Apparently, Arsenal want to give him 30 and extend the contract to about 5 years. We have to be careful how we hype him up. he looks a very, very good prospect with a lot of potential, but there's a long way to go. He will have a spell where he has a few bad games, and you've got to be patient with him. He's not Mbappe, he's a good young player. Give him time. Let's not pin all our hopes on him. I do believe he'll be a striker eventually, to be honest. Let's have a look. Don't compare Martinelli with Mbappe and Sancho, says Ben. They are levels above him. Yeah, I'd agree with that. But give him time. He's younger than them, man. He needs time to develop. Let's have a look. Abdi says, "Why did Czech play in that final? It still baffles me. Love your content, bro." I think Emery had promised him all the cup games. He obviously wanted to be a man of his word. And to be fair, Peter Cech played very well in the Europa League final. Although people criticised him, I think, for the Giroud goal that he could have saved it. I'm not sure. John Davis, loving your streams, Curtis. Great insight, honest views, and non-toxic commentary. Love your style and talk is cheap. Let's get you up to 50k, pal. Big up John Davis, man. Love them comments. Yeah, I just say as I see it. I try not to be too negative. The only thing I'm pretty negative about is the owners, which I think, with reason, I think 90% of the fan base dislike the way the Kroenkes run the club. Everything else, try and see it from a positive point of view. But it is disappointing what's going on. But we have to be patient. It's a long-term vision. Arteta's a new manager. It's going to take time. And I won't be getting on Arteta's back. All right, at times we may criticise little individual mistakes that he made, but I won't be saying, Arteta out, this, that, the other. He needs at least next season and maybe even the following season after that. Arsenal should sign Alfredo Morales, that striker from Rangers, right? Yeah, I haven't seen enough of him really. Alan De Souza says Leno replace Leno with Donnarumma. Donnarumma's a decent player, to be fair. I think, but I don't think Arsenal have got any intention of selling Leno. The only disappointing thing is that Leno's being linked with Bayern Munich as a replacement for Neuer, so that could be risky. Big up Zayn Miasi in the super chat says Martinelli has Rashford, Martial, and Kane in his pocket. Wow, big praise for the boy there, man. Long ways to go, let's be honest. Martial, he could maybe overtake. I think Martial is super talented, but just doesn't seem to have the temperament to produce consistently. Rashford was having a great season, let's be honest. The injury is setting back, so maybe Martinelli can overtake. And Kane, different positions, but injuries again. Martinelli, I would expect in the next 6 months to be picked for the Brazil national team. I know he trained with them in the last international. In the last international spell, he took the picture with Neymar. We have to manage Martinelli right. Let's be honest, this is a big talent. He needs coaching. I do think he will play as a striker eventually. He reminds me of Luis Suarez. I think that's the closest one I would say. A lot of people have said Tevez. A lot of people have said Alexis Sanchez. Some people have even said Nicolas Anelka. Who does Martinelli remind you of? I think the closest one is Suarez, personally. Let's have a look. Hacks23 says Sancho, Felix, or Martinelli. At this stage, I would say Jadon Sancho, but I'm rooting for our boy Martinelli, man. That's one of our own. Let's have a look. Ed Reynolds says Leno is a top keeper. I agree. With the defense that's in front of him, it's very hard to, he can't protect everything. He needs the defense to help him. John B says Morales has 30 goals this season and is top scorer in Europa League as Rangers fans don't come near him. Yeah, I know he gets a lot of red cards. Every time I see Sky Sports, he gets sent off, but he does seem to score goals. It's difficult. How good is the Scottish League? But then obviously, people like Moussa Dembele, who's doing well in France. He came from there. Obviously, Van Dijk came from there. Mezarashi Music says, I can see what Arteta is doing. It's great. I agree. It looks very good, but it needs backing. The King says, yo, yes, man, what are you saying? Reece Lockett. Hey, Curtis, how are you doing? Do you think we need another centre-back with Saliba? I think Luiz and Saliba is a solid centre-back partnership. At the moment, I think David Luiz looks decent. Forget the red card the other day; he was stitched up by Mustafi. Um, I'm not sure though how long he's going to be playing like that for. So I would still like to see a good centre back come in the summer, an upgrade. But I get your point. You know, the experienced player who's pretty decent on the ball with the younger, faster, taller player. That might be a good partnership. John Davis says, How about Ainsley Maitland-Niles at 10? Um, I'm not sure, but he does say he's an attacking player, so possibly. Stan Kroenke says Socrates is our best defender. I don't agree with that personally. I think David Luiz is better than him. I think mm, Bellerin possibly. Tierney I haven't seen enough of yet, but I would hope so. Bob Marley 420 Mustafi should stop making anti-bullying videos and start playing some proper football. It's harsh, man. It's a tricky one because these guys receive a lot of criticism and personal abuse. The personal abuse, I can't big that up in any way. If you don't rate the guy as a player, cool. Make your opinion. But when they're personally attacking players on social media, I do not agree with that. I get your point though, but yeah, I think sometimes so-called fans go over the top, the way they have a go at players. Gunner Forever says, I want to see Zach Medley get a chance. Honestly, why does this guy? I've heard so much hype around this guy in the youth team. I never see him play. Even in the Carabao Cup, I just don't see him. Which is crazy. What lineup are you playing for Bournemouth? Says Andrew Bland. They have a real battle on Saturday, so they may rest up. I don't think we can afford to mix it much, to be honest. I'd like to see the likes of Ceballos, Joe Willock, and Ketty or Nelson. Well, Nelson's out, but the other guys get game time. So let's see. Big up Zayn Miasi with the super chat. He says, would you take Giroud back? Absolutely, 100% not. After what he did with the Chelsea club pictures after the Europa League final, don't bring him back. We don't need to go back down that road. Although he was a decent target man, and sometimes you need a different option off the bench, but not Giroud. Forget about him. Look, I understand players leave a club and celebrate success. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's be honest. He's not an Arsenal fan. He comes from France. He probably supports Marseille or someone over there. I think I read before who he supported, actually. I thought it was Marseille. I could be wrong. So when he left Arsenal, he plays for Chelsea. He's going to celebrate. He's happy to play for the club, but he mocked Arsenal, and that's totally different. So Zayn, I wouldn't take Giroud back. Sport Genius says, would you take Carlos Vela back? I mean, I always thought he was a good player at Arsenal. He seemed a little bit lightweight in the Premier League. But he's tore it up in MLS. It's just whether, is he up to the physical side of the Premier League? I'm not sure. If he was cheap, I'd possibly take a chance, but I would imagine he would be expensive because, he's a very, very highly rated player over there. Abdi says, should we play our youths v Bournemouth? I would like to see a few of the young players play. Mujib Ahmed says, would you take Cazorla back? My heart says yes, because he's one of my favourite midfielders I've seen at Arsenal, a genius on the ball. But in my head, it says, he's had too many injury problems and I wouldn't look at bringing him back now. I think he's 35 and he's had bad injuries in the Prem. Big up Zayn again, Zayn Miasi in the super chat. He says, Lacazette is a hard worker and good holder of the ball. Could he play in midfield? If you're talking about centre midfield, I don't think he could. If you're talking about the number 10 role behind Aubameyang, I think potentially he could play in that role. And I'm surprised Arsenal have never tried him there because he holds the ball up well. He's got good energy. I think he would, he could do well moving around Aubameyang and even running beyond him sometimes. And Aubameyang would pull people away. So that would be interesting. So in terms of midfield, if you're talking about the number 10 role just behind Aubameyang, Zayn, I think Lacazette could play in that role. Mr. Fish, do you rate Do you really think Aubameyang is ruining his career at Arsenal? He's not really going to win titles or Champions League. I think he deserves better, in my opinion, as a rival fan. Um, I think we've elevated his profile since he left Dortmund. I think he's bigger now than he was then. He's on more money. He loves the lifestyle. He loves playing in the Prem. But the lack of trophies, yes, I think in a way we are not helping him in that sense. What we have to do is try and win a trophy this year, particularly the Europa League, in order to convince Aubameyang that, look, you can stay at Arsenal, you can win things. He's 31 this summer, so this is going to be probably his last major contract of his career. So it's down to the club to deliver, and Aubameyang needs to be a part of that. But other players need to step up. So yeah, I suppose other clubs will look at it and think, oh, they would love to have Aubameyang up front. I think, Chelsea would have Aubameyang. I think Man United would have him. These clubs would take him. Um, Tom McGurm says, "Hi Curtis. Hope I said your name right, Tom. Hi, how you doing, mate?" Don One said, "It's not like Chelsea are going to win the Prem or Champions League anytime soon." Yeah, exactly. They're not much better than us. Do you think Zayn Miassi says, "Do you think Pierre Van Hooijdonk at Forest would have done well at Arsenal?" I mean, Van Hooijdonk was an absolutely amazing free kick taker at Forest. I think he had one of the, forgive me, he had one of the best goals to free kick ratios in England at one stage. Overall, I think he could have played for Arsenal at one stage when he was at his best. They've certainly had worse players. If you look at people like Bentner and people like that, so I think he could have done a job. He was a decent player, quite overrated. Nimsy Lot said, "I'm off for a cheeseburger. Big up, man. Enjoy that burger, man. Not too much fast food, though, man. All in moderation. Bob Marley 420 says, "Big up Zayn Miassi with the donations. It's appreciated." As I say, anybody who donates to the channel, it's always appreciated, and any money that comes to the channel will be put back into the channel. And I'll be investing in equipment and upgrading and all these sorts of things, so I appreciate it. But as I say, no pressure to do it. I just appreciate the interaction and the view. Watching this is what the channel is all about. Ben says, Curtis, which youngsters from our academy do you genuinely think will have a successful career at Arsenal? I say only Saka. Nelson's got to step up. I don't think at the moment he's doing enough. Not enough end product. Joe Willock, not enough end product, although I think Joe Willock's got more potential than Nelson because he's quick, he's strong, and he's put in some good performances in the Europa League. Saka and Martinelli, obviously Martinelli we bought from Brazil. So those two for me, and Guendouzi possibly, they're the only ones. But in terms of coming through the academy, Saka is the one that stands out for me. He's got the temperament. He just seems to understand the game. He's got the aggression he produces. I rate him highly. I think Saka's got a big future. Marco Souza says, "This club will let Aubameyang have 6 months left on his contract, panic and swap him for Omar Niasse." Oh my God. It wouldn't surprise me, mate. They've done it with Sanchez, panic swapped him in the end, and that's what happened. Mr. Fish says, "Fury or Wilder?" I think Wilder will beat Fury. I know we're talking football, but I think Wilder beats Fury in the rematch. Zayn Miassi says, "I think we need to spend money on the defence. The Greek waiter, the B-Tech German John Terry need to go." Oh man, harsh. I'm assuming you're talking about Mustafi and Socrates there. No disrespect to them guys on a personal level, but poor players. I think Socrates is okay as a squad player, but he should not be starting every week. Simon Sorensen says, "Florian Balogun." This guy, honestly, is a very good young player. Again, I am surprised he hasn't had a chance, particularly in the cup games. I think Arsenal are under more pressure to win those trophies, so they're not giving as many youngsters a chance. John B says, "Scotland do produce some good talents. John McGinn signed from Hibs to Villa for 2 million. Also, Omri has said, Odsonne Edwards, striker, can go to the very top of football." Yeah, there's talent in Scotland, man, a lot of talent. Andrew Bland said, "What happened with Mislintat?" Yeah, I think I spoke about this. Mislintat was brought in to spot gems around Europe in particular, and I think world football, not just Europe. And what happened is they brought in Sanelli, gave Sanelli a lot of power because they had to convince him to come, being as that he'd been at Barcelona. He's got a big reputation. And Sanelli's vision is very different to Mislintat, that he wanted proven big names, and Mislintat wanted unknowns, gems. And I think those two clashed because Sanelli had more power. He also got a job role that I think Mislintat was interested in, so he felt undermined and decided to leave. I believe he's at Stuttgart now in Germany. Papa is past his best. Socrates Papaspopoulos, is it? Sorry. Yeah, definitely past his best. A couple of years ago, he was much better. He was a beast on FIFA, by the way, a few years ago. Gunner Forever says, Curtis, with your ability, you should be playing in the Football League. Respect, man. My professional playing days are probably behind me now. I'm happy to, I'd love to be playing still as a pro. If anybody wants to get in touch, you know where I'm at. Curtis Shaw TV, man, the January window's open. But if not, YouTube football, I'll continue hopefully scoring goals for AFTV FC, man. Luciano Bonsi says, "Hi Curtis, bro. Hope you're well. Hope you're well as well, Luciano." Don Juan says, "Only been at the club for 4 months." Is he talking about Martinelli? Other than the Martinelli deal, what has Edu done? Oh, sorry, yeah. So he's saying Edu's only been at the club 4 months. Give him a chance, man. Bob Marley 420 said, "Edu doesn't need to do more than the Martinelli deal, as far as I'm concerned." Oh, mate. Great bit of business, These are the type of deals that we need to go for every now and then, I want proven players, but every now and then try and throw a gem in there, man. Get somebody who, maybe is not the most expensive, but you believe has big potential. And I'm happy how Martinelli has turned out. John B said, FIFA has Martinelli at 2-star skill moves. Give him time, man. I'm sure he'll get a winter upgrade. Let's have a look. Gunner Forever, we should try to get Cavani. I think he could be going Atletico Madrid. Taylor Game says, when are AFTVFC opening their transfer window? Anybody who plays football or believes they're good at football, AFTVFC are having an open trial next month, I believe, towards the end of February. They're going to put things up on their social media. So if you can get to England, get to London, or you live in England, you believe you're a good footballer, there's going to be things coming up. If you want to get involved in the next series of Blood Brothers, keep an eye out for that. Younger says, Curtis, where is the blue shirt to go in between the red and the yellow? Do you know what? I have got the blue shirt as well. I just haven't hung it up. I need to sort this background out as well, to be honest. Gunner Forever says, Curtis, you should play for SE Dons. I believe we're going to play against SE Dons pre-season, so look out for that, man. That'll be a big game coming up. They're a very good YouTube channel. Let's have a look. John B says, Curtis, are there players leaving AFTVFC? Yeah, there will be. Obviously, there'll be new players coming in, which naturally means some of the players will go. Tom McGurm said, will we sign anyone in January? I believe we'll get a defender, and I think they'll try and get a midfield player of some sort, but I think we'll get one in for certain, two at the most, really. But I'd be happy with... Would I be happy with one? At this stage, if you offer me a good one, I'd be happy. But we'll have to see. AFTV need to strengthen the defence, says Younger. We need to strengthen the whole team, to be honest. I don't want to just pin it on the defence. Obviously, we conceded a lot of goals in the final, but we only scored 1 goal, so we can improve in both penalty areas, all over the pitch. As I say, anybody who can get over here, come and show your worth, man. Get involved. It's all there. Blood Brothers Season 3 starts again in the next few months. Let's have a look. Alan D'Souza, if we win the FA Cup, the Cronkies will think fans will be quiet now and not invest. I'm just scared of if this nonsense. The FA Cup kept Wenger longer than he should have stayed. Yeah, the FA Cup definitely inspired Wenger to stay longer. Gunnar Forever says, Curtis, would you take Tony Cruz or Isco? I do like Isco. Yeah, I like Isco. Tony Cruz, technically very good player. I think he's a bit slow. But yeah, he's better than Xhaka on the ball, that's for certain. Take Me Back Pirate Radio Archive says, Crexit. That's a Brexit Kroenke mix, man. That's a good one, man. Crexit. We've been in this for a while. John B. Curtis, bid 40 million for Decore. Bet you get him. I agree. I like Decore as well. Apparently, he's an Arsenal fan. Isco has no assists this year, says Ben. I honestly haven't watched a lot of Real Madrid this year. Since Cristiano Ronaldo left, I'm not as interested in Real Madrid. Michael Flood said, if Liverpool go undefeated this season, is their team better than our Invincibles? In my opinion, no. I think what Liverpool are doing is remarkable. I do think it is a weak league this season, but that doesn't take anything away from what Liverpool are doing is phenomenal. I think they've got an incredible manager. They've got some great players. I genuinely believe that Arsenal's Invincible team has got more quality than the Liverpool team. I think if you look at Liverpool's team, they could still strengthen in midfield. Wijnaldum, Henderson and Fabinho and Oxlade-Chamberlain, they're good. I think Fabinho is very good. The others are decent, don't get me wrong, but we had Patrick Vieira, Emmanuel Petit, Gilberto Silva, Edu. I don't think they had better midfielders than us. We had Thierry Henry and Bergkamp. These guys are, especially Henry's better than any of those in the Liverpool front three. So I don't think Liverpool's team is better, but they might go unbeaten. I'll be honest. They might go unbeaten. The King says, controversial, Liverpool are not playing incredibly good. All teams around Liverpool are not playing good. Agree or disagree? I think it's one of the weakest Premier Leagues I've seen. But yeah, I don't think Liverpool are playing incredible. They're playing good, very good, and they're consistent with it. I mean, I watched a game against Wolves the other day. At 1-1, Wolves had a chance. It looked like they could have gone 2-1 up. They didn't take it. A few minutes later, Firmino scored. And that's how things go. They've had a lot of luck in terms of VAR. None of their big players have really got injured for a long time. But you tend to get luck when you're producing quality. So, that's how it goes, man. Gunnar Forever said, we need steel in our midfield and we ain't got it. And we haven't had it for a long time. We have lacked power in that midfield for absolute years. Let's have a look. Younger says, Curtis, keep up the good work, son. I've got to shoot. Have a good weekend to all. Big up, man. Bless up. Have a good weekend, everyone who's in the chat. And big up everyone watching after. Let me know in the comments as well what you think. John Davis says, Wolves were heroic. Question, if we get Matvienko and we get Thomas Lemar on loan, these are the two at the moment who we're looking at closely. Would you consider that a good January transfer window, bearing in mind how slow the window has been and the fact Arsenal have got no real money to spend? Interesting one here. Stan Kroenke, obviously not the real Stan Kroenke, but the real one here in the chat said, thoughts on Dial Square FC. So there's this rumour going around that Arsenal fans want to start a new Arsenal called Dial Square FC, which is the People's Arsenal Club, and start again and build up through the league. So this is what they're planning to do. So let's see. If you're in the comments, what's your prediction for Monday? Bournemouth. Abdi said there, Bournemouth score predictions. I think it'll be a tight game. It'll be interesting what team we play. I believe because Bournemouth are in a relegation battle that they will rest players as well, and I think we'll beat Bournemouth 2-1. Let me know what you think. Score prediction. Curtis Allen says, Curtis, was you Wenger out? Did his time come to an end? Arsene Wenger for me is a legend. I think the club should build a statue for him. I'm thankful for everything he did for the club. I believe he stayed at the club maybe 4 years too long. I think, as someone said earlier, the FA Cup win made him stay at the club longer. And I think, he should have passed the baton on someone else after winning the FA Cup. Jeff Caton says, Hey Curtis, what's up, bud? Keep missing your streams, loving your vids, keep up the good work. Sorry if you've already said it, but Arteta's press conference was a bit of a non-event. It was interesting because Arteta's been quite open recently, but since he's come in, and today was very cagey. Now that makes me think: are we close to getting something done? And he doesn't really want to reveal what's happening. So I found that interesting how cagey he was today. Bob Marley 420 says 4-0 Arsenal. We should smash them. Haven't seen us have a high scoring game in a while, so I'm optimistic. I hope so. 4-0 would be I can't have Arsenal beat a team in the Premier League by more than a couple of goals this season. I can't actually think. Let's have a look. The King says Lamborghini or Ferrari. Wow, you know what? Growing up, I loved Lamborghinis. I wouldn't mind having the problem of buying one of them. I'm not really at that stage, mate. Let's have a look. Get that notification bell on, says Bad Boy to Jeff. Yeah, man. Press the notification bell, man. You get that as soon as the video is out. You get that notification. Gunnar Forever says, do you rate Thomas Partey from Atletico Madrid? 100%. Very strong physically, which is something we know that we lack. We're completely not strong enough in the middle of the park, and he's actually got a lot better on the ball. Take me back, Pirate Radio Archive says, Mahrez at Arsenal, would you take him? That ship has sailed, mate. Apparently we had the chance to get him when he was at Leicester, and we didn't get the deal done. He's at Man City. He's having a good season, man. Bob Marley 420. Let's get Curtis more subs so he can buy that Lamborghini. Hey, man, no problem. I never forget the fans, man. Hopefully one day I can buy one. Masterson 22 said, our gym facilities look atrocious, out of date, especially compared to the likes of Cities and even Spurs. Wow. Yeah, I've seen a few Arsenal videos. The gym looks okay. It doesn't look anything special. As I said, I was at Manchester City's training ground a few weeks ago, and their facilities are unbelievable. Curtis Allen, what do you think of James Rodriguez? Wouldn't take him. I think he's lazy. I think he flatters to deceive. Reminds me a bit of Ozil. Doesn't do enough. Mohamed Asila, hey Curtis, I think Arteta has a plan and can motivate players. Don't you think that we should stand with our players like Liverpool for so long? We should start. I think we are standing behind the players. It's a case of the board, and I think the board needs to change before anything major happens. Jeff said, Curtis, I honestly think that Arteta is always going to be cagey when it comes to transfer talk, because all managers are, because if they start confirming names, then it drives the players' values up. And that's a great point, because Arsenal don't have the money, so he can't be aggressive in how he talks. Like, yeah, I want him. So, yeah, good point, Jeff. John B says, what about Kessie? Yeah, we were linked with him. I think AC Milan want the money for him. I think, they're not willing to let him go on loan. John Davis says, personally, I think Arteta is being very clever. Might eat my own words, but I believe that Hugh Wizzy is right. Lord of the anti-frauds. Loving your channel, mate. Good luck, Curtis. Appreciate that. Let's have a look. What do you think of Alex Tellers, says Mr. Fish. He's brilliant on FIFA, I know that. At left back. I honestly haven't seen enough of him play in real life. PSG's planned new training ground is out of this world, even better than City, says Masterson 22. Exactly. When you got that kind of investment, you lift the club in every single sense. Let's have a look. Tom says, how much do Arsenal need to compete for the league again? I would say 200 million, honestly. That's what I think. Curtis Allen, realistically, how can we get the Cronkies out? I think we have to leave seats empty. When you do go, protest, banners inside the ground, chants, and really put pressure on. Stop buying merchandise at games. It's the only way. And take me back, Pirate Archive as well. Petitions, I agree with that. Gunnar Forever, do you think Pepe is too predictable? I believe we should still going for Zaha. Zaha one-on-one is one of the best out there. Said this a few times. Had it on good authority. We wanted Zaha before Pepe. We couldn't get the deal done. Crystal Palace wanted the majority of the transfer fee up front, and Arsenal managed to get Pepe over a 4-year period of paying the transfer fee. I would love to get Zaha. At the end of the season, I would potentially sell Lacazette and buy Zaha, although it'd be nice to keep him and buy Zaha, but Arsenal won't do that. Luciano Bonchi said Martinelli to use us as a stepping stone towards Barca or Real Madrid. Fourth. I think it's too early. I think it's too early to worry about that. He's got a long time on his deal. I'm sure Martinelli's sitting there going, I'm just happy to be playing in the Premier League. Last season, he was playing in what, Division 2 in Brazil? You know, I don't think we have to worry about that kind of move happening at the moment. Mohamed Asila said, yeah, I agree with you. The board needs to spend money. Hopefully they'll make great moves. What positions you prefer to be supported? I think we need a centre-back, centre-mid, maybe 2 centre-mids. I think we need a ball player and a ball winner. Don One said, I heard Zaha is going Chelsea. I heard that rumour a few times, although that's gone quiet now. Apparently they're looking at Sancho in the summer. Pepe has more goals and assists than Zaha this season. That's from Lucky Dube. That's interesting, yeah. And I think there's a lot more to come from Pepe this season. Although Zaha looks a bit disinterested, in my opinion. Would you take Cazorla and Rambo back? I think Cazorla's past it now, struggling with injuries. Aaron Ramsey, I would take back personally. Big up everyone in the live chat. Thanks for all your brilliant comments. I appreciate everyone watching. This has gone on for over an hour. I only expected to do it for 20 minutes. Everyone who watches it after, let me know in the comments down below. Would you be happy with Matvienko and Lamar? Everyone watching live and everyone watching after, thanks for all your time and your views. Have a good weekend. Take care. Enjoy. Drop a like. Drop a comment. Thanks to everyone for your support. I'll be back tomorrow with another transfer talk. And everyone, take care. Have a good weekend. Bless.